this part was folded up, okay, and then this serge part comes down flat. Now when we finish this now, we're going to grate these seams in here. You know, we can grate them. What happened here? This little part from the zipper part, you can grate that. Also, you can grate this inner part a little bit to make it less full. You know, anything to keep it nice and flat. You can continue that. In here, we're going to trim the upper corner, and we also can grate this seam down. Anything to make it a little bit more skinnier, 10 pounds skinnier. That's what we want. Now, we're going to take this corner, and in here I'm going to trim this too, trying to get that from the understitching. We're going to turn it. And now again, when you turn corners, never just poke into them. You want to come in the direction of the seams, like go up and come over, and try to work the fullness in the corner. Just do it gentle until you see, then you get that nice straight line. And this looks quite good. She did a pretty good job here, coming, you know, in line with the zipper. Now for the back of it now, what we have to do is, and this of course goes for this other side also. I'm going to show the rest on this one side, and then the student can finish it on the whole thing. Now, before we finish the bottom part, we kind of followed the way the waistband lays down from the understitching, and we're going to put some pins in there to secure that, because we need to know how much we're going to have left on the bottom here, so we can determine the overlap between the seam. Also on the corners, before you have to take the extension here, and you kind of do a little triangle and fold it to the inside so that you clear the area where the zipper is, okay? So we're going to put a pin here. Actually, we should have started on the other side, and we're going to put a pin right here. And then we're going to continue this. Make sure that this lies down really nice, and we're going to stitch the waistband into the ditch. The ditch meaning you don't sew on top of the waistband. You sew right in the ditch here, in the middle of that, where that seam is. I'm pinning in the direction of where we're going to sew, because basically we're going to start on this side, and because when you sew, your biggest part of your garment always is away from the machine. It should not be under the machine. So in here we do the same thing. We trim our corners, and we turn, and we try to gently move out the corner without poking it. If there is a bubble or anything, bring it back. See, so you have a nice straight line. And then again, in here, this side too, we're going to lay it out, put our pins to make sure that this goes up, this comes over. Follow the seams and stuff. And then in here too, on this side, we're going to fold our little triangle. The corner. We're going to sew this little corner inside to clear the zipper part. And also make sure it's a nice nice transition between the waistband and the zipper part. And again, we're gonna, you start with a little back stitch and you sew it from the right side. And you can even move this a little apart, and then later, when you're done, you have to really bring the stitching close without getting on top of the waistband. Then when you're finished, you can actually take the waistband and just press it a little bit over the seam so it almost disappears and becomes invisible. So this stays loose on the inside because it creates less bulk. It's not in the way. Okay, then you finish up with your slip stitching, do your hems, and you're pretty much done. Hook and eye. The hook goes on the facing part. So now, yeah, when you zip up the zipper, the hook goes. Let's see. You can tell here by this one. This is a little easier. See, the hook goes close to the end, and you put it in the center, okay? And then when you zip it up, this will lay down and pretty much tell you where the eye goes. But also, the eye usually lines up with the inside of this part of the zipper. You just have to make sure that it centers, that these parts are all nice, line up. Okay? So that's your two-piece shaped sewing in the ditch waistband.